Thunderbolts is sad. And that's a good thing. I've seen ThunderCats twice now, so I wanted to give you my thoughts about it. Also, I may sometimes accidentally call Thunderbolts ThunderCats. If that happens in this video, I'm just gonna keep it. So ThunderCats features Marvel's Suicide Squad, taking the scraps of villains and anti-heroes from other movies and television shows and forcing them to work together because they're all pawns in the chess game of Val DeFontaine, played wonderfully by Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and they come across an interesting character named Bob, who may have some secrets and possibly some powers of his own. The heart and the story of this movie are very strong. You know how we'll say that sometimes some of the Marvel shows have a little bit more depth than some of the Marvel movies, but we kind of wish that instead of them being 6 episodes with a lot of padding, that they would just take the best 2 hours of that show, turn it into a movie and put it in theaters. That's kind of what Thunderbolts feels like. It gives you the typical Marvel action, characters, quips, and comedy that we are used to seeing in Marvel movies, but it goes a little bit deeper, adds an extra layer of character development, depth, darkness even, just a little bit more edge that we see in some of the stronger Marvel TV shows. I know it's weird to compare Marvel movies and TV shows this way, but I'm just saying, this movie does have a hallway. If you know about Marvel TV shows, you know what happens when there's a hallway. Thunderbolts isn't just about bad guys fighting worse guys. It's also talking about how you find a family, how to deal with loneliness, depression, darkness, regret. Do you keep that all bottled in, or do you share that with someone who cares? How to find someone who cares. It packs some punches while also unpacking some trauma. And it also has no problem doing this in a kind of creative avant-garde type of way. This movie is pushing its PG-13 rating, but not from blood or violence, but from the deeper issues it's trying to discuss, as well as the unique creative ways that it's trying to discuss them. This movie is basically like the Thanos of therapy. If you're not gonna go, it's gonna do it itself. But don't let that scare you too much. For all the deepness that this movie is trying to deal with, it's actually very funny. I laughed a number of times watching this movie. And the thing that I like about the humor with this film is that it's not the Marvel Comedy Club hour. It is character-based humor. Everyone is playing their character to top tier. Red Guardian has his energy. Yelena has her sarcastic wit. John Walker is still a D-bag Party City Cap. So definitely when you get all these characters together, the humor comes from their interactions with each other, with their different personality types. How do they work together? How do they argue with each other? Who befriends who is butting heads with whom. So when they start dropping some of these lines, that's what makes the lines funny versus just random quips that anyone can say. Their character plus their dialogue plus their interactions with others, now that's comedy. Now this movie does have some interesting characters, although we do see some characters more than others. Some characters have less screen time. Some characters have very little screen time. But this movie is definitely focused on Bob and is very focused on Yelena. She is definitely the central core of this movie. Even though it's the Thunderbolts as a team, you're going to see a lot of Yelena and the Thunderbolts with her. But I totally get that because Florence Pugh is amazing and she definitely plays that character so well, and you definitely learn more about what she's going through. She was particularly a highlight in the third act of the film. They did a really good job with that. But early in the film, you get to see how these characters have to work together, especially to get out of an escape situation. So that's something I really enjoy. I love that dynamic of them having to work together, even though they obviously think differently. I feel like that stuff was stronger at the beginning of the film than it was towards the end of the film. I also personally would just like to have seen more Ghost, you know, because reasons. God dang. But you still get a good amount of the cast. You get a good amount of David Harbour playing Red Guardian wonderfully once again. You, of course, get a good amount of Bucky. He has a really cool action scene, by the way. I love that Marvel is just going all in on making John Walker just annoying as the bargain store Captain America. Like, they have just played him up to the hilt, particularly in this movie. I love that they just basically make him in this movie as, what if toxic masculinity was a superhero? The fact that they're now in on it and are like, let's just ramp it up, I'm all about it. Keep it going. Val definitely has a lot of great scenes. I also like Val's assistant in this. And then there's Bob. What can I say about Bob without spoiling Bob? Bob is a very interesting character. Very well acted, very well played, and a very intriguing character both externally and internally. That's all I'll say about that. And there's a special effect in this movie that is so like simple in theory, but so impressive. Like every time I saw it, I was like, they're doing the same thing every time, but that's a cool effect. It kind of hits you to the core, like, ooh, especially a couple times that they use a special effect. There's one time particularly they use a special effect where I was like, oh, dang, a good job. You got me. You got me, Marvel. Now, as much as I like ThunderCats and everything that it tries to do with this movie and everything it tries to say with this movie, the high pacedness that happens at some points in the movie kind of hit a lull at other parts. Obviously, I know you need to take a little break from the action every now and then, but I mean, like, there's just a couple of points where it just feels like there's a little bit of a lull. But luckily, it picks back up pretty quickly anytime that happens, so it doesn't bother me that much. And here's the thing, as a film, thinking critically, yes, it's probably safe to say that it's a better made film than Captain America: Brave New World. Personally, from an enjoyment factor, I enjoyed it just as much as Captain America: Brave New World, just for different reasons. And that's not a negative on Thunderbolts because I like the last Cap and I like this movie. They just hit different buttons for me. Not too hard, not too soft, like an ice cream cone. It is a good movie for me. I'm just not gonna be one of those people that's gonna be like, oh my God, Marvel is back. Oh my God, best movie since Endgame. Y'all know I'm not a Marvel hater. Y'all know I'm not sitting here trying to hate on Marvel all the time, either from a genuine state or from a clickbait, rage bait state. I just go, hey, I like the franchise as a whole. Some just hit more than others. This one hit nicely. I really enjoyed it. I've already seen it twice. I would see it again. I think it's a solid film, especially using a bunch of characters that you wouldn't think would work together. It's very fascinating that a lot of these characters, with the exception of the Black Widow characters, they never really been in anything together, yet they kind of had a nice dynamic working together, which I like to see. So for them to be able to take all these random characters, put them in this movie together, also add a lot of depth and interesting topics that you wouldn't think a Marvel movie would try to tackle, put all that together and still come out with a very good film, that's very impressive. And yes, you will learn in the movie why they're called the Thunderbolts, which is pretty hilarious. And yes, you will know why the movie has an asterisk by the end of the movie. Wow. They are definitely setting some stuff up with this movie. Also, make sure you watch all the credits, including the after credits. And here's a weird tip. Don't read the credits while waiting for the after credits, because if you read the credits, you'll get spoiled on what the after credits are. I know that's crazy to hear, but just trust me on this one. They could have put that one credit after the after credits. It would have been fine. Overall, I had a great time with the ThunderCats. Would definitely see this Marvel movie again and can't wait for the next one.